Hello everyone, I'd like to welcome you to the first video in a series that I'm going to be doing, and I'm going to be featuring Canadian artists or Canadian recordings from my record collection, and this might run to 30 or 40 videos depending on how many I put in each video, but it will not include French Canada, which is basically the music of Quebec, and although there are many French people in the rest of Canada, New Brunswick and Ontario and Manitoba, but the French Canadian culture and music industry was very separate from English Canada, and this will be the English Canada version of Canadian recordings. Aldi, aka Rufus, has been doing some excellent Canadian or music videos where he's records and things like that, where it's fascinating to me to see the whole French Canadian music industry through his videos. But as I said, this is the Canadian version, English Canadian version at least. And the first artist I'm going to start with is April Wine. Now, April Wine, it's a good artist to start with. I'm starting with A. And April Wine are still on the road. They're doing about 60 dates this year, gigs this year. They've been performing for over 40 years. Possibly the longest continuous performing band in Canada, and they played a couple 100 kilometers away from me last night at the Grizzfest Music Festival in Tumbler Ridge, BC. This is their first album from 1971. It's called April Wine. It's on Aquarius Records. Most of their recordings were on Aquarius Records in Canada, although they might have been on different labels elsewhere. I think in the States they're on Big Tree for a while. When you're thinking about April Wine, you're really thinking of Myles Goodwyn, who's here. This is very young. The rest of the April Wine band, people have come and gone over the years, but Myles Goodwyn did a lot of the songwriting and vocals, and he's remained with the group. And this album, the first album, features Fast Train, which I think was the biggest hit off this. It wasn't a huge hit. In Canada, it did hit the charts, I think, though. Second album is April Wine on Record, and this is what the Aquarius Label used to look like in the early 70s. This is from 1972, I think, and this was a very big hit in Canada, and it featured the song You Could Have Been a Lady. That song actually charted on Billboard in the States. (1973), April Wine's Electric Jules album, and this is a great cover. Love the cover on this. Features the song Weeping Widow, Just Like That. Lady Run, Lady Hide, I think was a hit single as well. And I saw them on tour when they were touring this in, I think it was Labor Day weekend of 1973. They opened, it was at the Canadian National Exhibition. They opened for T-Rex and Three Dog Night. Three Dog Night was the headliner. And April Wine blew T-Rex off the stage. It was embarrassing for T-Rex. T-Rex, Mark Bolan, it was brutal. They were terrible. Fourth album, April Wine Live. This was from 1974. And I saw them on this tour as well. I saw them in Uxbridge High School in Uxbridge, Ontario, and I would say it was one of the three best concerts I ever saw in my entire life. It was a high school gym. You could just walk right up to the stage and watch them playing. They had a light show. It was fantastic, just a fantastic concert, and it was a hot summer night. It was like 85 degrees or something, and it was a great one. April Wine, Stand Back. I think that was about 1970, late 74, 75. April Wine, The Whole World's Going Crazy. Then this one I showed last week, Forever for Now. It's 1976. April Wine live at the Elma Combo. Now, the Elma Combo, apparently this album was recorded during the same evening or the same day as the Rolling Stones live at the Elma Combo recording, which I think the Rolling Stones album was a Love You Live album that was recorded at the Elma Combo. And April Wine was kind of the opening act, and they did a recording of that as well. First Glance. It's 1978. Harder, Faster. It was at this point that they started having some success in the States. They had a few singles, 2 or 3 singles chart on Billboard down there, and they did some touring in the States, and the albums actually made, these albums started to make the charts in the States. They were in the top 100 in Billboard. And this album did a version of 21st Century Schizoid Man. They did a cover of the King Crimson song. The Nature of the Beast. It's funny, they started going into red covers. Power Play. That would be from around 1982. And Animal Grace. This is the last one I have. And as I said, this is the first in a series. Thank you for watching.